I think that truth is the most important element just because journalism is what society relies on to get news and information about what's happening and how it's going to affect them. And so without truth, you can't trust the news, and it's just not a credible source. The most would either be Will Moyers buying the war or Shattered Glass, just because it shows how society can be misled by journalists that aren't telling the truth, and just shows how important it is as an element and part of journalism, just with ethics and all of that. So I think that it's even more important now because there's so many different news outlets that people can just go online to Twitter or any random blog and see news and believe it. And I think it's journalism's job, or journalists' job now, just to make sure that they're really getting the truth and reporting and everything.
Well, I'd say, that, frankly, that they've changed a lot about today's journalism environment. A lot of information now is being shared through these social networking media, and it's no longer can you just look at the established forms of information to make decisions about what's important, because the news, if you want to call it that, that's transmitted through these networks is taking on a life of its own. I think the journalists in their hearts are still very loyal to their readership, but I think the problems we've seen, like the beginning of the war in Iraq, when a lot of major news organizations didn't ask the important questions that they needed to at the time and sort of went along with the truths that the government was putting out, is an example of where journalism has failed, and I'm afraid that incidents like that could happen more if journalists don't have the money, the time, and the tools to do the work that they need to do. Social networking and the sites you're mentioning, the amount of information that's flowing on the internet into news organizations and to the desks of editors is even greater than it ever was before. So people need to be winnowing out what's important, and the responsibilities for editors and journalists of all kinds has increased 100-fold with the explosion of information with the sites that you're talking about.
The element of journalism that is most important to me is the element of loyalty to the citizens. Just basically because, like, I feel like whether the news or any kind of information trying to get out, whether positive or negative, it has to reach the right people with the right intentions. Like the same information that a person in inner city or urban America and rural or corporate America receives, not going to be the same information that's beneficial to the lesser. So it's like whatever information you're giving out, you have to make sure that it's, you know, relative to the person that you're trying to relay the information to. I would have to say All Prisoners Men, just pretty much because it dealt with so many people that weren't just journalists. It had politicians, people who were just loyal citizens. So when the citizens were giving out the information, they would just play it back on their loyalty of it, because it was like it was no information being biased. They just wanted to get the truth out. So in that sense, the citizens were more loyal to journalism than journalism was to it. Before this class, like, I just based a lot of journalism, like just people who like write information, just give it out, just to have a job, like whether it's just to make people laugh or whether you're just really selling some real information. But now I see it's like more as like deeper, as far as like I see that information actually is biased. Like I never knew that like CNN news is biased and Fox News is biased. So it's like now it's like consciously when I read news, even the daily texting, it's like I look and read it self-conscious. Like now, like what is it actually saying or how they're relaying the information.
Twittering is not journalism. Twittering will never be journalism. At best, Twittering is a headline service. So the idea that in whatever number of characters you're going to do journalism, that's absurd. Television news at this point is an oxymoron. There's virtually no real news or journalism on television because the whole thing is sport for the production of profit. And the fact that it continues tells you something about the fundamental problem of having an overwhelmingly commercial media system, which is what we have in this country. Go burn down CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC. Burn those fuckers down first. Then go burn down the fucking New York Times. And don't curse on television. The idea behind journalism is that people are trying to be, first of all, independent from other powerful forces, independent from governments, independent from political movements, independent from perhaps corporations, and trying to step back in a position of independence to gather information, analyze that information, and present it to the public in a way that helps the public make decisions, be part of a democratic system. Can journalism be done on Facebook? Yes. Is Facebook likely to be a vehicle primarily for journalism? Probably not. Is it likely to be a place where people routinely go to see journalism? Probably not. But it can be a place where journalism exists. All I have to do is look at the run-up to the Iraq War. In conventional journalistic spaces all over this country, there was lots of reporting that met the conventions of contemporary journalism. And it was bad journalism. And it was, in fact, journalism that distorted reality. It was journalism that led people to make to conclusions that were inconsistent with reality. It led to a public being supportive of violations of international law on the part of the leadership of the United States.